Very good morning, friends. So, I hope you're all safe and healthy. Well, I am now starting another series, and that is related to Ind AS 109, but of course, not related to the entire Ind AS 109. But I'm looking at the impairment which is given under Ind AS 109, what we popularly call as the ECL model. That is called the expected credit loss model. And what I've done in this particular case is that I have segregated and created a three-step model on this. Well, Ind AS 109 does not talk of a three-step model on an ECL, but for the purpose of convenience and simple understanding, what I've done, I have segregated this ECL model into a three-step model. So what I'm going to do in the series of this particular videos, I am going to run through this three-step model with you. So we're going to start digging in deep on this concept of ECL, that is expected credit loss model. Let's find out this in detail. CA फाइनल के एग्जाम्स अराउंड द कॉर्नर है और 5 जुलाई से एग्जामिनेशन शुरू हो रहे हैं। अनअकैडमी पर आपके लिए आ रहे हैं सीए के मैराथन एब्सोल्युटली फ्री, और इसके लिए अलग अलग एजुकेटर्स आपके साथ अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट्स में जुड़ेंगे। मैं आपके साथ जुड़ूंगा फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग में 2nd, 3rd और 4th जुलाई। 2nd जुलाई यानी कि फ्राइडे को 2 to 4 PM और सैटरडे एंड संडे यानी कि 3rd and 4th जुलाई मॉर्निंग 9 to 11। ऐसे आपके मैराथन्स फॉलो करेंगे एसएफएम के लिए और लॉ के लिए और ऑडिट के लिए। तो आइए मिलकर लेट्स क्रैक इट। Well, before I take the discussion on the concept of ECL, let me tell you that when you look at the assets stated in the balance sheet, there is some Ind AS or there are certain measurement principles related to the Ind AS which ensures that assets are never overstated in the balance sheet. Well, when we consider that an asset is to be tested for impairment, or maybe it is tested without any indicators, as the case might be, I would segregate that all the assets in the balance sheet can be segregated into three major categories. What I'm giving you is a very general principle as far as impairment is concerned. There are two standards which deals with impairment testing. One is Ind AS 36, one is Ind AS 109. Now, when we look at the assets in the balance sheet, even if you look at the Schedule 3, you will see that assets have been segregated mainly between financial and non-financial assets. As far as the non-financial assets are concerned, the impairment of them is covered in Ind AS 36. And as far as the financial assets are concerned, the impairment is covered under Ind AS 109. Though, let me tell you that there could be certain financial assets whose impairment might be covered under Ind AS 36. Like for example, we have got investment in subsidiary, associates and joint ventures which are excluded from the scope of Ind AS 109. So these investments are measured at cost by virtue of Ind AS 27, and when they're valued at a cost, then in those particular cases the impairment is covered under Ind AS 36. But per se, if somebody were to ask me, then I would say that as far as the financial assets are concerned, the impairment is covered under 109. As far as the non-financial assets are concerned, the impairment is covered under Ind AS 36. Now, there are certain standards also, which has been excluded from the scope of both the standards, because sometimes there is an inbuilt measurement principle in the standard itself, which ensures that you don't need to test it for impairment. For example, a very simple example, what comes to the mind is inventory valuation. As per Ind AS 2, inventory is valued at cost or NRV, whichever is less. Now, in that particular case, you would say that there is already an inbuilt impairment testing. The measurement principle of Ind AS 2 ensures that the asset is never overstated in the books of accounts. Now, there are a couple of other areas, but I'm not coming to that. So I would say that, there are three kinds of assets with respect to impairment testing. One which is covered under Ind AS 36, typically the non-financial assets. One is what is covered under Ind AS 109, typically the financial assets and certain assets which don't need any impairment testing because there is inbuilt impairment testing in the measurement principles itself. Now, as I said earlier, when we started off this video, I said, what I've done under Ind AS 109, I have actually created a 3-step model for the ease of understanding. And we apply the 3 steps in a sequential order for the purpose of Ind AS 109. I'm just going to talk in terms of step number 1 today. And the very first step is identify the approach. Now, there are typically 3 kind of approaches which is given in the standard, which I'll come to that later. So the first is that we need to identify which approach is applicable to the financial asset. That's one. Then we go to the step number 2 and we need to see, is there a change in a credit risk? Now, don't get worried on what is a credit risk. The change in the credit risk which will result in a change in the expected credit loss. Don't get worried on the terms. We'll be coming to what is a credit risk. But I think apparently, let me tell you that when you look at a credit risk, it is basically, you can say the risk we run because of, let's say, the trade receivable, the debtors doesn't pay my money. So I am running a credit risk of a non-payment, which will result in a credit loss, which means simply speaking, a bad debts. So we need to basically, estimate that if there is a change in the credit risk, what kind of expected credit loss can occur. And then finally, the step number 3 is measurement of the loss allowance, basically making a provision for the expected credit loss. So we would say that every time you face a practical question in terms of Ind AS 109, first of all, identify which approach are you following. Then you look at the assessment that what is the change in the credit risk so that I can find out, what is the expected credit loss. And finally, you're going to make a provision for the loss allowance. Now, as I said in this particular video, I'm just going to discuss the step 1, that is identify the approach. We're not going to make much insight on that because in the next video, I'm going to tell you which financial assets are covered under the purview of the standard. But as I said earlier, that there are a total of 3 approaches which have been given by this Ind AS. And the approaches are called the general approach. The second is what is called a simplified approach. And the third is what we call a POCI, that is called a purchased or originated credit impaired approach. Now, what are these approaches all about? I think just let's give you a very basic input in them. When you look at a financial asset, we need to first of all decide, whether it's going to be covered under a general approach or it is going to be covered under a simplified approach. Let's not talk of a POCI approach because that's a very specific kind of category. So basically, from an examination point of view, the choice is in terms of deciding a general or simplified approach. Is it a matter of choice that which approach the company would apply? Of course not. So are there any guidelines which are given in Ind AS 109 which tells me which kind of approach would be applied to which particular financial asset? Yes. But let me tell you that when I use the word simplified approach, it is actually a simplified approach because it doesn't require the assessment of the changes in the credit risk. But when it comes to a general approach, it requires the assessment of the changes in a credit risk. But don't worry, we're going to talk more on that later. Today, the basic idea was to expose you that assets can be categorized into 3 categories. One is where Ind AS 36 applies, one is where Ind AS 109 applies, and one is where there is inbuilt impairment testing. And the second idea was to tell you that this entire standard can be studied with a 3-step procedure where we're focusing on the step number 1, that there are 3 kinds of approaches. What I'm going to do next in the video, I'm going to tell you in detail which assets are covered under Ind AS 109 and what kind of approach would apply to those financial assets. That's all in this particular video. So see you soon in the next video on the chain of ECL model. Thank you, take care, and bye-bye.